Howdy, everybody. Welcome back for another week of The Horse's Mouth. I am joined today with Toodles. Want to say hi? Howdy, howdy.
Hello.
We're going to be sitting
Good to
down for
be
a
here.
little bit and going over a bunch of different topics, I'm sure, but something tells me small pastel horses are going to be involved to some
Oh,
capacity,
yes.
as they should be, especially with these. Um,
Of course.
but yeah, let's jump right into it, I guess.
Okay.
Um, I'm sure Race has prepared you with the simple cliche, cheesy question that we always lead these with.
He hasn't divulged what questions he was asked. So he wanted an element of surprise,
That's good.
for me.
That's
So,
good. That's good. Uh, well, the people want to know. It's a really important question, and I'm sure you've never heard it before.
mhm.
Who is your least favorite pony?
Least favorite.
Hmm.
Well, I do happen to know that Jeffrey answered Trixie, and I do have to agree
Hmm.
that she is my least favorite.
Hmm. Well, it's been a
I
pleasure
I
speaking with
know
you
it's
today.
probably a controversial choice, but I just don't like her attitude.
Mm-mm-mm. All of these characters, you have so many characters to pick from, and you
Yeah.
guys pick Trixie.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's definitely, I would say that there are probably worse than Trixie, but she is a part of the forefront, because she's like best friends with Starlight Glimmer, so she's around more often. So it's just like, oh, when she is, so she's at the top of the mind rather than like somebody like Snips or Snails. Yeah.
Or just
Which,
kids.
but
Right, I'm
yeah.
glad that Seth doesn't like Trixie as much as he used to anymore. At this point, I'd be out of a job. Um, really, really
Yeah.
grateful of that. That's good. Well, I guess to switch things to a positive, I'll ask the more genuine, expected question: Who, in fact, is your favorite?
My favorite's Applejack.
Who?
Applejack. Applejack.
I feel like I've heard
I
of that
see what
name
you're
before.
doing.
Um,
See what you're doing. But
no
she
idea what
is
you're
my
talking
favorite.
about. Okay,
She's
that's
underappreciated, but definitely great.
she really is underappreciated though.
Yes.
It's kind of unfortunate because I mean, she's the most level-headed of the group, the most sane for sure.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
and yeah, she just doesn't get the credit. I think it's just maybe people gravitate the super normal, extremely logical people who love these magical pastel horses
Mhm.
gravitate towards these crazy, insane archetypes, whereas Applejack is a little bit more down to earth.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it is. I'm sure we could spend a couple of hours talking about the psychology of it, but I mean that's
Yeah.
good. Nobody's picked Applejack yet. No, I take that back. One person has picked Applejack, so you're definitely it's definitely a good
I at
choice.
least got one buddy.
You do. I think it was Jay Holler or something that had said Applejack,
Oh,
so
yeah.
which is fair. Which I mean
That
makes
makes sense.
sense. That makes sense. Um, but yeah, that's I mean that's good. That's good.
Mhm.
For those who do not know, you feel free to introduce yourself as well if you'd like. But you do a lot of different work in the fandom as well as host a podcast, a very
Yeah.
fun podcast. I've come to learn through watching it myself.
Well, thank you.
Would you mind introducing yourself and telling a little bit about what you do in the fandom?
Sure. People know me as either Toodles or just Sarah. Usually it's just Sarah, and everybody, there's an ongoing chant that if anybody ever brings up my name on a panel, just everybody just shouts Sarah over and over again. Um, and then, I get all red faced and stuff like, I was like,
Hmm?
okay, why am I getting this attention? But yeah, I think one of the biggest things I do for the fandom nowadays is more of like background work, other than the podcast, which I host and I, do all of the work to put it together, like gather the people and get it posted on our, YouTube page. A lot of the stuff that I do is convention wise doing a lot of the setup for panels. namely like Whose Line. There's been a couple of other panels that I've helped out on, like at Everfree this past year. Me and our friend Panama Matt, we did a lot of work for Saber's Cartoon Court panel, and that was a lot of fun. That was the first time we've done it, and it was a smashing success. So I think we're gonna have to do that again. But yeah, do a lot of panel work, do a lot of podcast work, and then on the side, I mean, I haven't done any fan art of ponies in a while, but I used to quite a bit. And nowadays I have a little bit less time to do that. But yeah, I've done plenty of fan art. You can search up my DeviantArt, Toodles 3702. But yeah, that's mostly what I do is host the podcast and then Whose Line setup and all that stuff.
Heck yeah. And I'm sure anybody who's been to a con has been to the Whose Line panels and has got to see those, and they're always a ton of fun.
Yeah.
So
I always enjoy seeing people enjoy them.
no joke. I mean, that's the whole point of a con, right? Is going there and having fun.
Yep.
So from what I understand, and this is of course something that has been talked about before, but race would not be in ponies. In ponies? I don't know. That doesn't sound right. Race would not be in ponies, if not for if not for some assistance on your part.
I introduced him to ponies. And
that's great.
Yeah, I showed him one episode. I was like, "Hey, honey, I really need to show you at least just one episode." And he was just like, I don't know. I was like, "Just one, and then I won't bug you about it if you don't like it." But he ended up liking it. So then the rest is history.
That's fair. So how did you stumble across ponies yourself?
So I stumbled across ponies. So the website that me and AC Race Best met on is called the Acorn Cafe. It was a fan site for Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. And we had friends there that were starting to talk about ponies when that was first coming out, and I was like seeing a lot of it. Everybody's posting about it on that forum, and I'm like, what the heck is all this stuff? And I asked some of our closer friends, like Panama Matt. We also met him on the cafe. And I was like, what is this pony stuff? And he, linked me some videos and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, this is kind of cute. Kind of nice. It's a cute little show. I think I like it. And I think Jeffrey would also like it, which, Jeffrey equals AC Race Best. I'm going to switch between both. It's hard for me to keep calling him AC Race Best. I've known him as Jeffrey for so long. But yeah, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, so me and my friends, we started watching pony together, and eventually I worked up to, getting Jeffrey to sit down with me and watching an episode. And since I had that stipulation where I only had one episode to hook him in, I had to choose carefully. So what I did is I went through all the episode lists, and I was like, which one? Which one am I going to do? What's going to grab Jeffrey? And I landed on Fall Weather Friends because it was racing related. And I knew that based on Rainbow Dash or Applejack's personalities, I felt like I had a pretty good chance of him connecting with one of those characters, and it ended up being Rainbow Dash. So he likes racing. He likes tomboys, and Rainbow Dash was the perfect tomboy. And he ended up falling in love with it, and now he is AC Race Best.
Now he is AC Race Best.
Yes. Now he is in Pony.
Race Jeff. All right. We'll alternate between the different ones, but now he's in Pony. Exactly. Yep. So do you have a favorite episode? That's a
That's such
rough
a
one.
hard
There's a lot of
question.
good pony episodes. That's a hard
There's a
question.
lot. Gosh. I mean, I feel like the episode where Twilight got her wings was a very good episode. It was very well put
Oh,
together.
okay. If you'd have
Yeah.
said that a few years
And
ago, or
it,
I guess it's been more than if you'd have said that a half a decade ago, wow,
yeah,
that
would have been
people would
controversial.
have
It
felt
would have
some
been
sort of way
like,
about that. Yeah.
yeah. But, now we're all used to her having wings and all that stuff. And I was like, it's actually really nice. And it's a really good episode. And it has one of my favorite, like my absolute favorite pony songs, which is Celestia's Ballad. And it's
Okay.
very underrated, but it's like a beautiful song. And I listen to it all the time, especially when I need motivation.
Heck yeah. You say underrated. That's like Celestia's first song in the entire series, if I'm not
It
mistaken.
is, but like,
That's a big moment.
I feel like not a lot of people talk about it though, at least nowadays. Usually you're hearing people playing Smile all the time.
I mean,
But yeah. Which is it's a good song, and I get it because it's a more of a peppy song, and then you have to be in a certain mood to listen to Celestia's Ballad.
fair enough. How long has it been since you've seen some of those earlier episodes?
A very long time.
Yeah.
We haven't really gone back in a while. I would say it's been 4 years since we've
Dang.
even watched anything from like the first few seasons.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Been a
That's
while.
just crazy.
Yeah.
I'm only saying that because I just, for the first time in about 4 or 5 years, went through and rewatched it myself. So now I get to be like, oh my God, you haven't watched that in years? You're crazy.
Yeah.
You really should, though, especially all you've forgotten
Yeah.
some things. I guarantee it. There's some
Mhm.
crazy stuff in there.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure there's plenty of stuff that like either went over our heads or we just didn't catch the first time around that will be like, whoa. Second
Fair
time.
enough. Fair enough. I hate to put the brakes on things, but I've got to ask because I'm not entirely sure. Didn't the Chippendales movie finally come out?
It's coming out tomorrow,
Oh my
Friday,
gosh!
May 20th. Yeah, they did like
Right
a whole
there.
red carpet thing already, and there's been, they've been doing a lot of cute posts regarding the red carpet showing.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
they had, yeah, it's and there's been good reviews, so I'm excited. Excited.
I heard about reviews, so I figured it like just came out in the last couple days. But that's right. Okay, tomorrow. Wow.
Yeah, tomorrow I think at like midnight tonight is where it drops officially. So.
Okay. Well, then we won't make this too long. That way, you guys can make it to the theater in time. Um, are you looking forward to that? Or how are you feel? I finally went through
I
and I
am.
watched the reaction video for the trailer, so I don't know how you guys are feeling about that.
Yeah, we're excited. I think we're more so now that some reviews have come out, and it seems like people are also, like enjoying it. We were in the camp of it might be a train wreck, it might be horrible, but we're still gonna enjoy it anyway. Yeah, when we watched the trailer, we were just like, this is just absolutely nuts. This looks crazy and not at all what we were expecting. But okay, that's what it is. So, we're just gonna go with it. So yeah, we're excited.
Heck yeah! And they updated the pony stuff in there, from what I understand as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
saw that yesterday. That they had updated it to the G4 movie ponies, which is really cool.
yeah, extra pony attention. I mean, hey, you can't get that. You can't
Mhm.
get that past our radar. We picked up on that
Yeah.
real quick. Um, but yeah, I had to take a moment to pump the brakes on things to address that because I once again
Yes,
figured you might have seen it. Uh,
not yet.
are you guys seeing that tomorrow?
Yeah, we are seeing it tomorrow. What's funny
Okay.
is we had scheduled we're doing a Ready Player Dumb stream. We're playing Goat Simulator.
Oh goodness.
And we're like, oh shoot, that's the night that the movie comes out. And we're like, okay, well, as soon as we wrap on Goat Simulator, we're just gonna go downstairs and have a movie night with Chip and Dale, and we're just gonna enjoy it.
Okay. You said go downstairs. Is this a digital release they're doing tomorrow?
Yes, it's on Disney Plus.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Hmm.
I might watch it then. I
Yep.
figured it was gonna be some big blockbuster theater thing. So, okay.
No, unfortunately not. I mean, maybe they will at some point, but I think it's a Disney Plus exclusive at this time.
That's fair. Just make some popcorn, invite some strangers into your house, and
Sure.
you can have the real movie theater experience there.
Yep.
Um, so you mentioned Celestia's Ballad as being your one of your favorite songs. Do you in fact have a favorite of the songs?
Other than Celestia's Ballad, let's see. I mean, I feel like a really good classic is Winter Wrap Up. It's it's one of the easiest songs to sing along to. I feel like everybody knows it, and once
Mm-hmm.
it comes on, everybody just sings it. And it's the same thing with Smile. But yeah, I would say Winter Wrap Up is more of my style of songs that I like. Smile sometimes I feel I'm an introvert, so sometimes the energy is a little bit high for me. So Winter Wrap Up's like a good medium.
Fair enough. You're actually the first person to mention Winter Wrap Up. Um,
Yeah.
also the first person to mention Smiles. So I mean,
Oh,
people don't
interesting.
like pony songs. I don't think. Really though, it's
Oh,
hard to pick a favorite. I mean,
yeah.
there's so many good ones. But we gotta
Mm-hmm.
ask. The fans want to know. They care a lot about that sort of
Yeah.
thing. Um, so you said that you do work with the Who's Line panels. Obviously, there's a lot of people that go to conventions, but there's just as many who don't. Probably even more
Mhm.
so. And we have a lot of people coming in that have never been to conventions before, never been to that, um, never been to conventions, never been to panels. Would you break down a little bit
Yeah.
of what a Who's Line panel looks like, what goes into that as far as what you contribute, and what that looks like for the audience?
Yeah. Yeah, basically what happens when we plan on doing a Who line at a convention, which is pretty much always. Um, Usually conventions are like, yeah, let's do a Who's line, and they give us a certain amount of time. Some of our shorter ones are like an hour. Some conventions are very generous and give us like 2 hours for Who's line panels, which that adds more of work for me. I'm like, oh god, I gotta fill like 2 hours worth of content in here.
Hmm.
But basically, once we have like the time slot, then AC Race Best will create a game list with SaberSpark. Like they'll go over, oh, this, let's do this game, game. They chart out the list of games that we want to do, which are all based off of the original Who's Line show.
Right.
We play all of the games that they've done. We haven't yet created any new game for ourselves. I don't know if that's in the pipeline at any point, but yeah, we usually try to stick to just what's on the show. Um, and then once I get the game list, basically from there, it's collecting submissions for the Who's Line game, which are like quotes, uh, like funny quotes or trendy quotes that people want our cast members to say on stage. And then scenes from a hat also we collect submissions for. So just a whole bunch of funny scenarios like, oh, things you can say about Rainbow Dash but not your girlfriend or something like that. So we open up submissions at least. We try to at least 2 weeks before the panel actually is going to happen. Um, and we have it open for about a week and then we close it up because we get a good amount of submissions. And then me and a group of friends, we all sit down and we go through them, um, which we used to do when Whose Lines were starting. We used to have like live submissions, like in the panel room. Hey, before the panel, come down to this table and write down scenes. But I think as time went on, we were like, well, you know what, let's try and have a little bit more control over what gets put in the hat. So that's why we do submissions online, and now we kind of go through them pre-show, and then we write down like the top 20 on cards, and then is what gets put in the hat. So then once submissions are done, basically it's coming up with all of the scenarios for the games, like, you know, for like Irish drinking song or hoedown, we got to come up with a topic of like what they're going to be singing about. Or for Who's Line, which usually has AC Race Best and Saber Spark, we have to come up with a scenario that's funny for two people to do, like, you know, Celestia and Luna fighting over, you know, day and night. I don't know. But yeah, so it's a lot of work, and sometimes it can be, there was one point in time where I was kind of burnt out on doing Who's Lines, because there were a lot of conventions that were like within a very quick amount of time of each other, and I was just like, ah. But yeah, it's a lot of work that goes into it. And it's always very satisfying to, especially when I'm at the convention, being in the audience and seeing all of the reactions people have to, you know, the games, and how well they go or how unwell they go. But sometimes when they don't go good, that's even funnier. So
Right.
yeah.
That's the fun of improv.
Yeah.
So is there like a do you guys have like a Wayne Brady of the bunch, or like a Colin of the bunch? Do you ever think about things like that?
I would say the Wayne Brady of the bunch would be Gabe when we can get him in.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, when we know that Gabe's gonna be at a convention, we put in a lot of like music-based games and put him through the ringer, basically.
Oh.
So yeah, he's definitely the Wayne Brady. Colin. I feel like Jeffrey probably embodies Colin the best. And then I feel like Saber Spark's more of Ryan Styles. But yeah.
That's pretty great. I mean, Wayne Brady was always my favorite of the bunch, just because I was always so blown away. I mean, that dude, especially when he was on stage, it was like, what can't he do? He's just got he's like
Yeah.
the trifecta with the acting and the singing and the improv.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Gabe fits that as well. But that's funny.
Mhm.
Do you have a favorite skit, like a highlight of the Who's Line panels, like a shining moment of that experience?
Yeah, I really love Who's Line the game. It's just, it's very satisfying when cards line up just perfectly. When it's, you know, I can't really come up with an example, but there's been a few times where like Race or Saber will say something, and then they pull out a card, and it just like perfectly blends into the conversation that they were having. Or yeah, or it takes the conversation in a very unexpected way. I feel like Who's Line has the most potential to be very satisfying. I'm like, yes, those cards like really lined up, and that was great. Yeah, so I would have to say Who's Line.
Okay, heck yeah. Um, how many conventions do you think you guys have been to at this point?
I think
4.
Race has reached 50, and I'm nowhere near that because I really only go to local conventions because I don't have the money to, you know, go much further out. You know, occasionally I will go out further. But yeah, mostly I stay close-ish to California. Um, but yeah, I don't know how many cons I've gone to personally, but I know that he's been to 50, and that's a lot. And I'm like, wow, we've
That's a
been
lot.
doing this for a long time.
Got to get you up to 52. Slacking.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you guys have, I mean, it's these days, especially with post COVID, things are a little uncertain, but I mean, we have cons popping back up. There's certainly a ton of them,
Yeah.
especially around that area.
Mhm.
So, I mean, who's
Yeah,
to say?
it's been really nice to be able to go back to conventions.
What was your first
Been
con
nice.
back? Or first
I
con?
think it was Everfree. Um, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Everfree. And that was just a blast. It was a lot of fun. Everfree is one of my favorite conventions.
Ponies. We've came a
Yeah.
long way. I mean, it's been a decade now. That
Yeah.
ponies have been a part of not only pop culture, but been a part of a lot of a lot of people's lives. Um,
Yeah.
I know this is probably an obvious question, but looking back on things, would you have ever thought in the first couple of years, or even, I mean, even as far as a few years into Generation 4, that you'd be sitting here now, considering going to pony conventions and doing pony content?
No. When I showed Race that first episode, I didn't really expect it to snowball into what it's become. But I am grateful that it happened. But yeah, back then I would have never expected that we would have these opportunities, and we're grateful for it every day.
Thank you. And it's something we've talked about with a lot of the people who've been involved with this is the the Bronies React stuff. A lot of the initial interviews, as you know, we've been talking to a lot of you guys, and um, I've been liking to ask. I've been liking to ask. That's not English. What is your do you have any favorite moments of the Bronies Reacts?
Ugh. Again, that's one of those things where there's just so many.
Just so many.
I I do have to. I think I would say that Halloween episode where we reacted to Generation 3.5,
That's a good one.
and Jeffrey, he just broke.
Yep, that's one of my favorite
Yeah,
parts.
yeah, he just lost it, and it was very funny. It was hilarious, and just seeing his reaction, and just like it took him a very long time to just get back into normalcy, because he just broke so hard. But yeah, that has to be a highlight for me.
Certainly iconic. I mean, that reaction compared with the Dick in the Box costume, like those two things were just they really
Yeah.
came together to make something really special.
Hmm.
Going back and rewatching those, the second I saw the thumbnail for it, because he is the thumbnail, and
Yeah.
I immediately was reminded of that, and I'm like, oh gosh, it's great. It's good. So it
Yeah.
was a really good
Hmm.
reaction. Uh,
It is.
the content though, I mean, is still continuing today. You guys are still doing those, um,
Hmm.
and hopefully Generation 5 will provide us with some new things to be able to cover. Um,
Yeah.
have you seen much of Generation 5? I know you've watched a movie, but
Yeah, we watched the movie. We've watched at least the first 4 episodes of Tell Your Tale. We plan to watch more of them. He is currently working on race reacts for the first 4
Mhm.
episodes of Tell Your Tale. Um, don't know when that's coming out, but he's working on it. And we do have plans to do a react to um, the Make Your Mark special. Um, yeah,
Okay.
that's all in the plans. We plan on watching Generation 5. We're highly anticipating the new show. So yeah,
Right around the corner. Right around the corner.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, it's something that I can talk about. Yes, something that I can talk about is Everfree yesterday announced that they were going to get
Mhm.
the voice actress for I might mix these up and I apologize. They're brand new. They're brand new. Sunny has been to maybe one other convention, but the voice of Izzy, Sani, I
Mhm.
believe is her name, or Sani, is I'm pretty sure this is going to be her first My Little Pony convention. Everfree will be
Oh, nice.
her first ever pony convention. Yeah. Uh,
That's exciting.
we had, of course, consistency with the main six and their voices through pretty much everything, more or less.
Yeah.
But we didn't get that with Generation 5, of course. They had that all star cast in the
Mhm.
movie, and although Hasbro certainly has the money. They did not retain those incredible people, and instead we
Yeah.
now have some new awesome people who are going to be playing those characters. Uh,
Hmm.
do you have a favorite
Yeah.
of the bunch so far?
I would say Zip is my
Zip.
favorite.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, Hitch is a very close second.
Really? Fluttershy
Yeah.
2.0. Really? Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Have you seen the little 3-minute trailer they did? The 3-minute sneak peek of the
uh,
special?
I watched it without audio, and I have not, because I was like watching it at work. I was like, oh, better not have the audio going, but I'll just see the pictures. I haven't watched it with audio yet, but
Okay.
from what I saw, I'm like, oh, this is intriguing. I feel like the animation is fine as far as, CG TV shows I still feel like it's kind of like a new thing where people are still trying to like it's still being developed as far as like the pipeline and
Sure.
streamlining it. Because there's not a lot of shows that are 3D. There was the How to Train Your Dragon. There's
Yeah.
Kung Fu Panda. A lot of DreamWorks was doing
Yep.
3D shows, but it's still I feel like it's a very new thing.
Hmm.
But I'm excited to see how it develops because I feel like it could be one of those things where over time they start to, kind of like Generation 4, where if you go back to like the first few episodes, you're like, whoa, this looks like really different from, season 9, where as the show went on, they developed a lot more assets and backgrounds. They really started to fill things out. So I'm hoping that is the case for Generation 5, is that as they go along, it continues to get better.
Perfect. Yeah, I've been saying the same thing to people who might have doubts. I mean, once Pony got
Yeah.
traction and they got farther into things, of course, the quality improved substantially.
Hmm.
Watching season one,
Yeah.
rewatching that again, it's like, wow, there's some things in here that are just the naked eye.
Rough.
You could point a finger and be like, that's not natural. That doesn't look good at all.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
but by the end, I mean, that was few and far in between. Um,
Hmm.
I'm glad you're familiar with the DreamWorks animations, at least the transition they did into the
Hmm.
TV series, because that's a good example of that. You had this amazing high budget animation that
Yeah.
was beautiful and incredible, and then they put it on and made it into a TV series and used those same assets, and it was rough. It was rough to look
Yeah.
at. Um,
Hmm.
but then again, 3D comes. I mean, each year CGI is just becoming
Hmm.
more and more advanced and is becoming more and more impressive, and it's easier to use.
Right.
And people are becoming more experienced with it, like you said, working out the pipeline and everything. So, um,
Hmm.
it's I don't think there's any doubt, especially if the series catches traction and people are interested in it, that there'll definitely be an increase in quality. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, I there's a lot of fun things on the horizon. I think the coolest thing about it is that for the first time in a while, we finally have something else that we can kind of set back and have questions about, wonder what's going to happen
Yeah.
next, and wondering what's going to come from it.
Hmm.
Are there any things in
Yeah. It's
particular
kind.
you are kind of hoping get answered? Any things that were opened up by the movie that you'd like to see kind of talked about a little bit?
I feel like the biggest question is just like, what happened?
The Great
Like,
Pony War. The Great
what?
Pony War.
Yeah, what happened to separate everybody? Is it because I know that there's been kind of, so there's that scene where Zip's showing the girls, like what was used to be like a hangar
Yeah.
in the city, that where it was like a transport
Mhm.
service, and it had the pictures of the Wonderbolts and everything, and like Zip said something like, it's just like everybody just forgot that we were all friends. And in the background somewhere, like Sunny's dad has like the picture of like that memory erasing like rock thing, and I'm just like, does it have anything to do with it? I feel like if they put it there, because I feel like if you don't watch Equestria Girls, I feel like that's a very niche thing to put in there, and it might just be like a hey, Equestria Girls fans, there's that thing. But it's possible that they're, already planting seeds for future plot lines, basically. So I don't know if it's more of like something went down and that stone was used and everybody just forgot about everything and then things kind of got separated from there, or something else happened where there was just this big chaotic war or something. I'm just like, yeah, there something big happened, but we just don't know what it is, and I hope I get to find out. So,
I'm
yeah.
sure you will. I mean, ponies have a history of not
Mhm.
directly addressing things, but I don't know. That's
Yeah,
a big one. I think Twilight would be really
that's a big
disappointed or
one.
surprised to find out that she failed. Um,
Hmm.
oh yeah, she totally failed. And where are the Wendigos? Aren't the Wendigos supposed to show up when the ponies don't get along?
Yeah,
Isn't that a thing? Didn't we already establish that?
yeah.
What happened to
Hmm.
the
I
Wendigos?
think
Those
there
poor
was a
things.
yeah. I feel like there was a theory that like now that magic has returned, that they might come back.
Oh, that's
I don't
terrifying.
know if like yeah. I don't know.
That'd be fun. I mean, personally,
Yeah.
me, I think that what had happened was when Twilight left on her vacation, or she went to Silver
Hmm.
Shoals or whatever they called the
Yeah.
retirement home, where
Yeah.
princesses go when they get old. I have no clue. Uh,
Yeah.
that Twilight unfroze Cozy Glow and put her in charge. Um, I think
Um,
it's likely. I think it's likely. They need to do something to redeem that because there's no coming back from what they did. That was messed up.
mm-hmm.
Do you feel that was fair? I know Jeff when he had said when I had brought up that he was like good. I mean we didn't forgive her. That's good. I'm glad we
Yeah.
finally made that commitment.
It's I like that there was that commitment of there's villains that we're not going to try and redeem in any way because, not everybody wants to be redeemed. Some people just want to be bad. But the problem that I have is that one of those people was a child.
Crazy.
And I'm just like, why? Why did you make that conscious choice to be like, yeah, we're gonna like freeze this child in time? And I mean, she was not a good person, but also like
To the
there's
child.
still time or potential for her to learn, hey, what you're doing is not great. Let's try it a different way.
Yeah.
But no, she just got encased in stone, and that's it.
After she got sent to actual literal for real hell, um,
Yes. Yeah,
where she
so
was pen
she
pal or she was roommates with she
twice.
was neighbors with a demon. So Satan
Yeah.
essentially. I mean I don't know how much more
Yeah.
black and white it
Twice
could be,
they
but
decided to just condemn a child
it's good. It's
for
good.
crimes.
I'm glad they make a statement though.
Yeah.
Beings of pure chaos get a pass. Villains who try to
Mm,
take over the world with magical elements get a pass, or magical
yeah.
amulets. Even Trixie got redeemed. She's your guys'
Yeah.
least favorite character,
Yeah.
but this child, no, we're not gonna put up with that. Kids suck. That's the message I got, which is
Fuck
fair.
them kids.
Which is fair. They don't deserve. They don't deserve. They don't deserve the attention, the effort. What potential does a child have? For real. Um, but yeah, I thought that was fun. If she comes back in season 5, that will blow my mind. But the potential's
Yeah.
there. I mean, Discord came back hundreds of years later when they unfroze him. So I mean, if they left
Yeah.
Cozy, maybe we'll even see her like in the background somewhere, like a statue. That'd be that'd be horrible.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
um, yeah, there's a lot of unanswered stuff. So
Yeah.
you've been a part of the My Little Pony fandom for you were here in the long ago. Um, you were a part of that. Do you have
Mhm.
any memories of any early fan content, any early fandom creators that you are endeared to, that you find interesting, that you followed back in the day?
Mm. I'll find myself listening to like the Wooden Toaster, the Notives music. Uh, I I love the Rainbow Factory.
Mm.
It's like one of my favorite like fan created songs other than Discord, which I feel like Discord's like the like it
Quintessential.
reached TikTok.
Yeah.
It took over TikTok for a little while. But yeah, no, I like going back to some of the beginning music of the fandom. Uh, I I always enjoy the fan animations that people have done. Like there's that one with Luna where it's that song from Hocus Pocus, like where she's like kidnapping the children. But in the Luna one version, she's like saving them, essentially. But yeah, that one really sticks out to me. There's a lot of great fan animations. Like there's a lot of really great animations having to do with like Luna or Celestia. There's like a couple of them. Because there's also one uh where Luna's like getting ready to turn into Nightmare Moon, and by the end of the song, like she
Mm.
becomes Nightmare Moon, and it's pretty great. But yeah, there's a lot of great fan animations out there.
It's a good one. I've
Every once
watched
in a
that one
while,
a
I'll go
bunch.
on down memory lane
As you
and watch
should.
them.
As you should.
Yeah.
I watched that Luna animation. The Moon Rises, I think is the name. Oh, I watched it like
hmm
4 times this week, and that's it's a
Yeah.
really good animation.
hmm
Um, we have a lot of people working on stuff, super incredible projects from what I've seen, and a little bit of what's been shared in these podcasts of some really ambitious stuff that uh, is set to come out anywhere between the next year and 40. Uh,
Awesome.
but yeah, it's awesome to see that that stuff is still coming out, and I think
hmm
it's awesome to say that we have a lot to go back on. Um,
Yeah.
you guys are, I would say, you engage with the fandom enough. I'm not sure if you've noticed the trend of just how many new people we've gotten, either returning to the show or coming in for the first time ever, just in the past couple of years to even the last couple of months. Um, we've had this growing influx of new people. Um,
hmm
one of the coolest things, especially with these interview series that I've gotten to do is I've gotten to see so many people go and rediscover old content that's been sitting here, for a decade. That
Yeah.
although we've known about it because we experienced it as it was coming out, these people get to go and see that for the very first time.
hmm
And that's wonderful. I don't know if you guys have seen as much new engagement with your content, but I know we certainly have on our end.
Yeah. I think we've noticed a few new people tuning into the Semi Perfect podcast. And I think that was something that we were hoping for with the new generation is to bring in, you know, new folks. And it seems to be working. It seems that there's been an influx of new people who are, checking out the fandom and, you know, diving headfirst into it, and we welcome them with open arms.
Heck yeah. And hopefully they're able to stick around. I think one of the
hmm
things that might have contributed a little bit to it, you mentioned the Discord going TikTok viral there for a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw any of that firsthand, but I've heard some incredible stories of just how many people have no idea where that song came from or the culture that
Yeah.
surrounds it, and
Yeah.
it became mainstream there for a bit, uh,
hmm
as it should. It deserves its time in the limelight every chance it
Yeah.
gets because it's a good song. Um,
hmm
but yeah, so many people who just have no idea what Pony was beforehand are getting exposed
Yeah.
to it in so many different ways that I guess only modern technology like TikTok that we couldn't have expected to
Yeah.
pop up in the past few years, being that driver. Um, on the Semi Perfect podcast, though, if I'm not mistaken, that was originally something that Saber had started, right? Right, Saber and
Yes.
Race.
hmm Yeah, Saber
Anything?
and Race started it. Saber was hosting it on his Twitch channel for a while until he was getting a bit more busy with like his main channel stuff, and then I took it over. Um, and it's had a couple of like changes of like location stream wise. We used to be on Twitch, but now we're on YouTube. We've been uh, we've been on AC Race Best channel for a while, and then we just uploaded our like our recordings onto our Semi-Perfect Podcast YouTube, but recently we've just moved everything to the Semi-Perfect Podcast YouTube because that makes things a lot more streamlined and easier for me. Just being like, hey, podcast is over, you can just instantly watch it because we just did it on YouTube on our channel instead of having to record it, render and repost it somewhere else. So yeah, it's been a very nice change.
With the streamlining thing, I'm sure that makes it really efficient. The idea of just being able to have it available to watch immediately after that must that must help a lot.
It was getting to a point where I was like, man, it's been like a week since the podcast and I haven't uploaded it on our new channel. I went to Race and I'm like, can we please move it to the channel so we can just stream directly there and then people can watch it instantly. And he's like, oh yeah, I guess that's a good idea. I'm like, okay, well, let's do it. So we did it. But Race and Saber started it so many years ago. I honestly couldn't tell you how many years it's been going, but we're closing in on 180 episodes.
Dang.
But yeah, when it started, it was just those two, and now we've got like a rotation of like 7 or 8 people, like maximum, that show up on the show at times. But yeah, it's grown a lot since then.
Heck yeah. And it was super nostalgic being able to be a part of the few that I have in the past few weeks here. That one I had popped into just a couple weeks ago, like Jack said his whole bit about how he was like beating people up in movie theaters or whatever he was talking about.
Yeah.
Saber and Race kissed on camera during the podcast. That was really cute. A lot of fun stuff. Do you have any memorable things from those podcasts, those experiences you've had so far?
I would say the most memorable for me is the day that we did the podcast where Jeffrey got to regale us on his experience with being on the Steve Harvey show. It was, he was part of a Is It Weird? And his whole thing was, is it weird to be a brony? And he had to be on stage and tell Steve Harvey, I'm a fan of a show called My Little Pony. And yeah, it went over very well. And, the clip in the show is like maybe only 5 minutes long, even though they probably talked for like half an hour on stage live. So it was edited down. So then, Race was able to kind of like regale us on like every little thing that happened. And it was a fun podcast.
Heck yeah. I didn't even think that would have been a thing to watch, but I need to go back and watch that because that sounds kind of interesting. Yeah. I didn't know about a lot of the I know they edit things and they have a certain narrative and everything like that they have to fit. So I'm
basically he talks about everything, like especially even leading up to like getting on stage. Like they tried dressing him as nerdy as possible. They like
sounds about right.
Yeah, they massacred my boy. They put him in a sweater vest and they tried to give him a Dumb and Dumber haircut. Did. And he tried his best to try and fix it.
You're right. I hadn't noticed any of those things, but now that you pointed out,
I see how it is. Yeah.
That's horrible. Gotta love Hollywood. And Steve Harvey's such a cool guy. That's crazy. How did you feel? What was your reaction when you first watched that?
I was like, wow, my husband was on national television. And I'm like, it's so weird. Like it's like a thing that I have to be reminded that happened because it's just such an outlandish thing where I'm like, I mean, it isn't too terribly uncommon that he is on television because he's, he does NASCAR, racing, local racing stuff. And you'll hear his voice every once in a while on MAV TV announcing for racing. So I'm like, well, that's normal. But then like to see also his image, because usually with the NASCAR stuff, it's just his voice. But to also just see him sitting near Steve Harvey and having a conversation with, a celebrity like that, it's unreal. And it's a thing that I have to remind myself, like, oh yeah, that happened. That's so weird. Yeah.
It must be odd. He handled himself really, really well on those. I mean, unsurprisingly.
Mhm.
I think if
Yeah.
there's few people I would have picked to be on the Steve Harvey show representing the pony fandom, and he's definitely one of those few. Um,
Yeah.
but no, it's definitely something crazy. I hadn't brought it up
Hmm.
in the interview. If I did, we didn't talk about it much because I'm sure he's been asked about it quite a bit at this point. But I was
Yeah.
curious as to your perspective because I mean you're right there with it. So
Hmm.
um, what has been the craziest part of the fandom for you so far? What has been the most shocking? The most what's taken you aback?
Um, I think just in general, just how many people, enjoy watching our content.
Okay.
And it's always very humbling, when we do go to conventions and we have people approach us being like, hey, I really enjoy Bronies React, or, I've been watching your channel for this many years. There's been a lot of, very recently, there's been a lot of, hey, I was watching you when I was 13, and now I'm 23. And we're just like, what? It's been that long. We're that old.
Oh no.
It's we're not old, but like it's been one of those like whoa moments when someone has, you know, been on our journey with us for 10 years. And I feel like that's just like the craziest thing to me. And we're, grateful for it every day. We very much enjoy, you know, having the opportunity to entertain people, and it's it's always very nice and humbling to, when we do get to have those face-to-face interactions with people and they say that, they've been with us for 10 years, and it's just like it's awe-inspiring. It's great.
Heck yeah. I mean, no joke. And you say, "Oh, we're so old now," jokingly, and that's hilarious. Um,
Yeah.
I think I probably had mentioned in the previous interview, but I fit that to a T. I followed the content since the beginning, and I'm 24 now. Um,
Hmm.
and when I think about it these days, I'm like, wow, you guys were really young when you were doing that content.
Yeah.
I mean, just and it was super successful, and it's worked out great for you guys, and it's been awesome to watch. But it's certainly
Thank you.
inspiring to see. It
Yeah.
makes me want to start a
Yeah.
Equestria Daily React. Even though Seth and
Oh.
Cal are they're I think they turned 54 this year, so they're not quite. I don't know if they quite have the energy for it these days, but
Yeah.
54, 64, 54, is that what I'm saying? I think it's 54. That sounds good. That sounds good. Yeah, if anybody ever asks, or if you ever get an opportunity, please tell everybody you know that Seth is 54 years old. He'd really appreciate that. Um, but no, really, I don't know if I had mentioned during the conversation we had beforehand. I had discovered Bronies React. I watched the very first episode, the Bronies React to Teens React, and it followed. I mean, there was certainly some people that I was introduced to, but I had followed a lot of the people who were a part of those for years and years and years. Um, Only up until the last few years did I stop watching it, and that's just because life is. As I became an
Yeah.
adult, life
It
became
happens.
life. Um,
Yeah.
but no, yeah, it was absolutely great. And looking back on just all of those years, I think that Brody's React was actually one of the more consistent things that I had like the content wise that I came back to in the fandom. There are a
Oh,
few things that really kept my interest, and that was certainly one of them.
yeah. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed.
Heck yeah, heck yeah, it's a lot of fun. Race's
Yeah.
reactions are always got me. Watching Gabe jump out of a plane. I mean, there's just so many memorable
Hmm.
moments, and I'm glad that people were able to come together and make something like that for the community because it's one of the things that made it special.
Yeah.
And I'm a nostalgic person, so looking back on all those things is just it's too much, especially with it being Pony. I mean, Pony nostalgia, that's the sweet spot, I think, for a lot
Yeah.
of us. So
Yeah, Race is also a very nostalgic person, which is mostly why he does his convention vlogs. You know, because he does actually, before every convention, he goes back and watches all of the previous vlogs of that convention. And it's so he, can get in that mindset of, like, not only is it the nostalgia factor, or he really enjoys seeing who's, like, been in the vlogs,
mm-hmm.
and going back to the convention and being like, hey, it's you, you were in my vlog from this many years ago, and the person's just like, what, you remember me? And he's like, yeah. Yeah, Race is really great with stuff like that. He's very nostalgic. He loves going back and watching stuff like that, and you know maintaining that sort of really great relationship that we have with people who have, who have been here a long time, or establishing rapport with new folks who are just getting into the fandom.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of fun faces. He told me a little bit about that,
Mm-hmm.
about seeing people again, but also getting to notice the people who, like, he realizes at a certain point you just don't see those people anymore. And what happened to
Yeah.
them? Um,
Mm-hmm.
certainly interesting to say the least. I'm sure
Yeah.
some people are like, "Wow, you have a really good memory," and he's like, "Totally, totally, I have
Yeah.
a really good memory. All these years, I remember.
Yeah.
Um, must be something else." Does he like
Yeah.
see? But like with all those vlogs and how detailed they are, I'm curious. Does he just walk
Mm-hmm.
around with a camcorder all day long, just in everyday life?
It is essentially, like, not necessarily in everyday life. Like, if we're doing something exciting, he'll have the camera out. But yeah, for conventions, it's pretty much in his hand 24/7. Um, like, if we go on vacation, it's going to be in his hand at least half of the time. And it's just, it's how he remembers things. He likes to videotape things so that he can go back and be all nostalgic about it, and just remind himself. Yeah,
Sounds good. Sounds
that's
like
how he
fun.
operates. Yeah.
Um, are you a morning person? Because like the way Saber described race to me when he was talking about him was like he would they'd spend like a whole night out at cons. Like his energy would be at like 100, and then they'd finally crash. And like a couple hours later, they'd be getting up, and Saber would be all groggy, waking up, and he'd look over, and Race would have a big smile on his face, camera in his hand, and out the door. Um, so I was just curious if that's the
uh,
same for you, or
we're surprisingly, we're not morning people. It's just, I think with Race, he he's very good at managing an on and off switch,
okay,
where, in the morning when we're getting ready, he's very, like, at a convention, he's very quick to be like, all right, it's convention time. Let's do this. And he puts on that, he switches on, and he's ready to go for the rest of the day. He gets very energized by other people. So, and yeah, it just, like, he at conventions, I feel like that's when he usually is getting up early in the morning, and then when we're at home, he's like trying to wake up as late as possible to go to work and all that stuff, or sleeping in until noon on the weekends. So yeah, I wouldn't say we're morning people. We're just very good at getting our game faces on, essentially.
okay. I've got to ask because I only just now noticed that you got a Zootopia
Yeah.
piece
This
right there
is
in
the
the back there.
Zootopia room.
Is it the Zootopia room?
Yeah.
How much Zootopia merchandise do you think you guys have if you had to put a number on it? And is it more than Chippendale merchandise?
It is absolutely more than Chippendale.
Crazy.
This is the most amount of any sort of, like, property that we've had. Like, it's
Poor ponies.
I would think he has probably 40 to 50 pieces of merch.
Dang.
Yeah, it's a lot. I'll have to send you a picture of the mountain of plushies.
No kidding.
It's yeah, he has a mountain of Zootopia plushies. Just any plush that was released by Disney, he has. It's not currently in this room. We've moved into this house like a year ago, and there's still boxes of stuff. And we haven't even hung these paintings on the wall. I feel like since we used to live in an apartment, and that's how we were for a very long time. Now that we've got our own house, we're just kind of like, what do we do? It's just like, how do I want to decorate this? How do I want to, I'm scared to even just make a hole in the wall, but it's like, it's our house. It's like, I don't know. There's just like been a period of where we're just like, okay, we gotta put some paintings up and stuff, but that takes commitment to put a hole in the wall. So yeah, yeah, his Zootopia stuff is still in boxes. He's been asking me when it will be unboxed, and I'm like, soon, soon. I'm slowly working on making this room into like a Zootopia room. I've got a jungle themed, the bedspread and the bamboo headboard. So it's gonna be the Zootopia room, and this is where all his Zootopia stuff is going to live.
Like you keep saying his Zootopia stuff.
It is.
You don't claim
It's
any
his.
any Zootopia. None of that.
No.
None of that.
I adore the film.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
not as much of a fanatic as Jeffrey is.
Weird.
I enjoy the paintings and stuff. I enjoy looking at the plush. I've never been someone who has had the urge to just buy everything of a certain property. Like even with Chip and Dale, like we do have a number of like paintings that we've gotten. There's a gallery in LA that we go to every once in a while, and they'll have recently, well, not recently, like a couple years back, they had like a Disney afternoon themed gallery showing, and you can buy prints and stuff. So we bought a couple of Chip and Dale prints there, since they're Disney afternoon, and every once in a while we'll go down there, and there's been some Zootopia stuff that he's gotten from there, like those two back there. There's I think one of them's by Cyclops Prints, which we had to drive to their physical like location to get, because
Okay.
it was fairly exclusive. Like they only printed a certain number of those, and it's signed by Byron Howard, which is one of the directors for the film, because
Okay.
he actually drew it. It's the one
Oh,
that
okay.
the water hole looking one. Like
Yeah.
he's got a very Calvin and Hobbes sort of style.
I love
But
that
yeah.
comic.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, he's got a lot of Zootopia stuff. I don't really lay claim to it. I it's for a while I knew what to get him for his birthdays, is just to fill in the holes of like Zootopia stuff. And actually I bought some stuff, and I'm like, hey, just so you know, I already bought stuff for like your birthday, which isn't even nearby. Like we're both November. He's on the 2nd, and I'm on the 3rd.
Oh, okay.
But I was
November
like, yeah,
Club.
I've already bought his birthday presents, because I was like, I've seen these, but they seem to be hard to come by, so I'm just gonna go ahead and buy these. So, but they are Zootopia related,
Okay. Okay, that's
and I
good.
can't say because I can't spoil it, because he's probably gonna watch this interview.
Oh, you think so? Oh, you think so?
I think so.
The I've got to ask, but before I do, when you guys finally decide to put a hole in the wall, as you say, you should support your
Mhm.
local art community and have somebody come in and do like a Zootopia mural on the wall. You can
Yeah,
always paint over it.
yeah, we've got plenty of empty space here. Um, I was thinking like something behind the bed, to kind of spice up the room, but Yeah.
Just do the song "Buy Everything." Just the letters. That's the song, right? Buy everything.
Yes.
I've got to know though, just from last night. Did you make Race a funnel cake?
I did not. I do not know how to make them. I did not look up how to make them, but maybe sometime in the future.
All right, all right. I was curious. I had to go buy a funnel cake here today, so it's
Oh
literally
yeah.
been on my mind for the past day.
Hmm.
I couldn't
Yeah.
help myself.
I'll have to ask him. Hey, do you want funnel cake after this interview?
They're good. They're really good.
Yeah.
Got tangled up here. Jeez, all these wires. You got Bluetooth? Are those Bluetooth?
Mhm.
Are those Beats? What are
Yeah.
those?
They're icons. I bought them through Saber Spark.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Use your audio
There
dealer.
was one video that I was. Yeah. Well, he was. I think he had like a sponsorship at some point,
Oh, okay.
and did like an ad where like if you type in his name at time of purchase, you can get some money off. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll do it. So I have Saber Spark to thank for these Raycons.
Heck yeah. Good time here. What is it? Yeah, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I don't know why I keep dipping. You'd think I've done these before or
That's right.
something. Um, I usually have notes. I did not pull them up this time because I'm crazy and figured I was more than prepared. My apologies.
Oh, it's fine.
It's these. I'm telling you once again, it's these cigarettes. If I don't smoke them, I'm not cool, and then I lose confidence, and then it just all comes crashing down or something like that. I think that's what it is. Um, oh, do you have any? Oh, let's not transition that hard. Goodness gracious. Do you have any favorite con memories? Did I already ask you that? I don't think I asked you that.
No, not necessarily. I think you've asked like favorite who's lines,
Yeah, more
stuff
of the
like that.
stuff you
But
do when you're there, content wise. But
favorite convention memory. I feel like that would have to be Fiesta Equestria. It's
okay.
like it's a convention that's near and dear to my heart. It was very close to where I lived at that time, like when those were happening. My family lives in Dallas, so that was a nice 4 to 5 hour drive, and then I'm at a convention center, and it was one of those smaller conventions where you could really get to know people over the weekend and just like be like, hey, and just it was like a big family. But yeah, my favorite memory regarding that convention was doing the Hasbro like takedown like videos where
Oh yeah.
Race and his buddies would, we walked over to Goodwill, bought a whole bunch of cheap suits, and they pretended to be Hasbro executives, ceasing and desisting everybody.
It's good.
And those were a lot of fun to do. And we did those twice at 2 different years of the convention. So we had like a sequel where everybody like participated at one point doing like a big war against Hasbro. And everybody was taken out at that point, except for me. I showed up at the end of the video being like, Hasbro still lives. But yeah, I feel like making those videos is one of my favorite things that we've ever done at a convention.
Those are some fun videos.
Mm.
You can't give those Hasbro guys any ideas though. I mean,
Yeah.
you get them thinking about that sort of thing, and next thing you know, they'll be there for real, and everybody will think it's a joke or it's Race in a mask, and then we're all in for it.
Yeah.
Fiesta Equestria, that's a con I haven't heard of in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I used to go to Nightmare Nights every single year. I went to pretty much every single one they had. That was right around the corner.
Yeah.
Relatively speaking.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only Texas con we have these years these days is HarmonyCon. I think that's a Texas con.
Yeah.
I think so. Have you been to that one at all yet?
I have not. I have not made it out there yet. One of these days.
Got to go to all of them. GalaCon. Got to go to those international cons. Those things are fancy.
Yeah.
So given that you guys came from Chippendales, I've got to ask because I don't think I asked racist either. Did you guys ever do any dabbling in the furry fandom at all?
Um, I I would probably just say like not really. Like we made personas, but that was like for the cafe, being like, yeah, this is what we would be like if we were in the Chippendale world. But I don't think we really delved too far, like at that time, into the furry fandom. I feel like Jeffrey's obsession with Zootopia is like the closest that he's ever gotten.
That's pretty
Um,
furry.
yeah, yeah, but I wouldn't really say that we are active participants in the furry fandom, but we appreciate
Okay.
it.
I see you've taken some notes from Saber Spark. That's good. That's good. Um, what were your guys' Acorn Cafe personas?
um, I was just a mouse with like brown hair. It was really boring. But Race was a platypus.
A platypus.
True Cash, yeah, he was a platypus.
Hmm.
Yeah, he like when he was coming up with his persona, he was just like, "What's gonna be the weirdest animal?" Like, because I want to just go crazy with this, and he was like, "A platypus," and so he had an artist that was currently in the fandom. He commissioned him to draw him as a platypus, and that was his Acorn Cafe avatar for the longest time. Well, it still is. But yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, his persona was a platypus.
You said still is. Do you still actively use Acorn Cafe?
We don't. It's kind of gone very quiet on the forum
Sorry to hear that.
in the past few years. I think a lot of people have just kind of like migrated, to other fandoms or to other venues of, speaking like Discord and stuff like that. But we really haven't. We stay in touch with a few friends from the Acorn Cafe. Like Panama Matt is someone that we interact with like pretty much every day, and we met him on the cafe as well. Um, and there's a few select people that we still keep in touch with, but yeah, for the most part, we're not really active on that website anymore.
Well, wait.
Just
Wait
how
till
it
EQD gets a hold of it. We'll send a bunch of people your way.
is.
And who knows with this new movie? You never know. People might
Yeah,
might be coming back into that.
yeah, yeah.
Who knows what's around the corner?
Excited to see how that pans out.
While we still have some time here, I've got to ask: have you ever, or has Race ever, put you in a situation where he had to watch Zootopia, and as a result of that, like miss like an important meeting, or because I know if I remember right, I think he's probably watched it close to 400 times in theaters, something like that, give or take, a
Um,
couple hundred.
yeah. There was one time, I don't remember which convention it was,
Mm, mm,
but he and
mm.
Saber went to go watch Zootopia, and like halfway
Really?
through the film, they were getting texts being like, "Hey, where are you guys? There's like a panel that you're supposed to be on, like starting in a few minutes." And so they, I think what happened is that they just didn't realize, oh, we're on that panel. Okay, it wasn't a panel that they were, they submitted for and were, it was something that they were put onto, like, I think kind of more last minute, like when the convention started, they forgot about it or something. um and yeah, they went to go see Zootopia and they missed a panel that they were supposed to be on.
Really?
Yeah.
That's horrible. It's really not okay.
Yeah.
You find that funny. You find that really funny. That's sad.
Yeah.
You know,
It's just
I was supposed to interview them that day.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I just finished up an interview with Monique and Michelle, and I got in touch with staff, and I'm like, all right, I'm ready for race, and they're like, we can't find him, and I'm like, huh? They're
Oh,
like,
so
yeah, we've
you
been trying to
have like
find
a
him for
close
hours.
connection to that day
Oh
where you're
yeah,
just
I'm
like, I
never gonna
can't.
forget that.
I
Never gonna forget that.
can't.
It's interesting you bring
Yep,
that up. It's
that's where he
interesting.
was.
I never would have expected that's the answer I would have got when I asked that question. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, Zootopia. It's an awesome movie. It must be a really good movie. And I've seen it.
Mhm.
I can't even tell you how many times I've seen it. So I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
I would also leave a convention to watch the movie. Um, but no, that's funny. And Midwest is no longer with us, unfortunately.
Yeah.
When I say it like that, it sounds like they're dead, but people can interpret that as they'd like. Um,
Mhm.
it sucks. That was actually here in KC where I live, so if it was still around, then I'd have a pony convention in my backyard for once. But
Yeah.
no such luck, unfortunately. Now I got to drive across the planet to get
Mm.
to one.
Yeah.
It is what it is, though. Um, do you have so at the very end of Generation? What show is this? My Little Pony. The end of Generation 4, they had a quite a few big reveals as far as
Mhm.
character shipping. Like we had Apple
Oh yeah.
Dash, we had uh, Cheese Pie. I don't like the sound of that at
Yeah.
all. We had quite. I'm gonna stop making names. We had quite a few of them,
Yeah.
and they were super fun. How'd you feel about those, or are there any that you were disappointed didn't happen? What do you have any opinion on that at all?
I was happy with all of them. I'm not a person who's particularly picky when it comes to like shipping. I'm like,
Okay,
as long as, both people are happy and it's a healthy relationship, I'm all for it.
both ponies are
So
happy.
yeah,
They're not
yeah.
people.
Yeah, I felt like um all of them were kind of expected in a way, but I
Mm.
was glad to have that confirmation. Um, but yeah, there was such big, Fluttercord vibes before, the ending finale where like it even was like there was a joke where it's like, oh, you want to marry Discord, and stuff like that, and then Pinky and Cheese, um, they're very much the same people, so it just makes sense.
It's cute. Yeah.
And then I know that Rainbow Dash and Applejack for a really long time. It was kind of just like
Mm-hmm.
kind of seems like it might be a thing, and then it was confirmed, and I was very happy about it. Yeah, all three. I was like, great, and then Bonbon and Lyra, being married and all that stuff. That's pretty great. I also really enjoyed that.
They're really cute shit. Back in the day, Ashley had posted up on Instagram. I mean, way back, she had posted the picture of Applejack and Rainbow Dash getting married. And I felt that there were some strong staff vibes as far as that feeling as well. So I don't
Yeah.
think that was crazy. The Fluttershy Discord
Yeah.
thing though, I don't know about that. Somebody in the Bronies React
Yeah.
actually had the best reaction to it I think to date, and I've been using it. Um,
Oh yeah.
Whenever she handed her the lunch bag, or he handed her the lunch bag. I don't remember who it was, like Magpie or somebody was like, "Oh, it's so cute. They remain friends this entire time. Like, don't even acknowledge the fact that they're even
Yeah.
together." That's more my boat. Fluttershy's, my waifu, and I
Yeah.
almost had to get in a fight with Jax the other day over. It was, I mean, it's serious.
Yeah.
I don't play that game. If anybody though, I'm glad it's Discord. No, what am I
Yeah.
saying? Oh no, they're finally getting me. One of these
Saw it
days.
happen.
Yeah, I guess so. Do you know who? Uh, do you know? Do you know who Billy Bob Thornton is?
uh, name's familiar, but
Yep.
I don't think I do. What?
Do you know? You ever
Billy Bob.
watch Sling Blade?
No.
Never watched Sling Blade? It's a good movie.
No.
You should watch Sling Blade. I'm trying to
Okay.
think of any other movie.
Never heard of it.
Dang. Okay. Have you ever heard of the Ship It show?
No.
No. No, that's fine.
Maybe I haven't heard of Billy Bob Thornton ever.
That's terrible. He's a good actor. Um,
Let's see.
it's very likely you've seen something he's been in.
Oh, he's in Armageddon. Wait.
Is he in Armageddon?
Yes. Let's see.
I don't know about Armageddon.
Yep, he was in Armageddon. I couldn't tell you
Oh,
who he was in Armageddon, but that's definitely a movie that I've seen.
well, there you go. Good.
Yeah.
Good. That guy.
Yeah.
Well, the Ship It show, it's something I found recently, and I've been sharing with people because it's extremely interesting. Um, have you ever heard of Teen Titans
Yes.
or Teen Titan? My apologies. Um, the voice actor Beast Boy has this YouTube thing that he does called the Ship It Show, where he brings people who work in the industry to ship characters from the shows that they work on with people or things. And they did a My Little Pony one. And Tara, of course, working on Teen Titan, is a part of a couple of those videos, and she was also the host, if you will, of the My Little Pony ones. And they had the whole cast come on. Billy Bob Thornton came out as a brony at some point around that time, and he was also a part of that group. Him and his daughter sit there and shipped ponies, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
If you are not
Sounds fun.
super ship centric, it's still an interesting thing because it's super under the radar. Like nobody seems to know much about it. Like looking back in EQD posts, I was curious if anybody caught it. We have never shared it. Like it's very underground pony, but it's all like all the voice actors and everything. They all get together and ship ponies, and it's something. It really is something.
That sounds fun.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
I'll have to check it out.
It's cool stuff. Before we get too close to the end, though, I would like to give you an opportunity to plug anything that you might be working on, any social media.
I mean, gotta plug Ready Player Dumb. It's me and Race's baby. It's been 2 years of Ready Player Dumb and some change, and it's been a blast. Doing it and just playing video games and then posting it online for people to see and yell at us for being dumb. And it's been great, and hopefully we can see a few more people, in the comments. Just if you want to watch AC Race Best Fail Bad at video games, subscribe.
Heck yeah. And of course, is the Semi Perfect podcast and Bronies React, of course, as always. Any socials you'd like to plug?
I'm on Twitter. Usually, it's Toodles3702 on Twitter, and we also have a Ready Player Dumb and a Semi Perfect podcast Twitter, Semi Perfect Pod, and then RPD_gaming for Twitter.
Okay, heck yeah. And what is the weekly schedule for some of these things, or the release schedule?
So for Semi Perfect Podcast, such a mouthful. I usually don't say it correctly. Semi Perfect Podcast.
SPP.
We're every 2 weeks live on our Semi Perfect Podcast YouTube channel. We stream live, and then the recording's pretty much immediately, available for viewing right after we stop streaming. For Ready Player Dumb, we've got 2 new videos going up every single day. Yeah, every single day we have new content.
7 days a week? 365 days a year?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's a lot of content.
2 videos per day. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff.
And I guess for those who might be going and leaving and scheduling to watch the next Semi-Perfect Podcast, Semi-Perfect Podcast? No, I can't say it right. The next podcast, they do a food segment at the beginning where if you send your fancy meals that you've had into is it hashtag what
SPP food.
SPP Foods. Yeah, you guys do like a live
Hmm.
viewing of all the foods that people eat. And
Yeah.
that's super fun. Makes people hungry.
Yeah,
Makes them go buy
it's a
funnel cake.
long-standing tradition of the Semi Perfect podcast. Pretty much since its inception, that's been a thing because it's always happening around the time that we should be eating dinner. Um, but
Oh,
so yeah, so we're always just curious what other people are eating because we want to be hungry, and then right after the podcast ends, we go eat dinner.
that's fair.
But yeah,
That's fair. So does the hunger like motivate you to make better content? Is there some strategy to this, or
I think I don't know what it is. It's just like we we get the enjoyment of seeing other people feed themselves when we're also hungry. But yeah, I don't know what it is. We just I don't know. We just enjoy seeing what people are having during or after before the podcast. It's just we're just curious.
heck yeah? Um, I have to think of more every time I've tuned into the podcast. I'm either eating Pop Tarts or like McDonald's, and I'm like, oh, there's just nothing I can do. I'll have to make something one of these days so I can feel
Yeah,
worthy of sending something in. Some of these guys have some pretty cool stuff that they've sent in.
yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like, dang,
That's. I've been saying I was like, oh, I really should start a channel on our Semi Perfect Podcast Discord channel to have people submit their recipes and stuff.
interesting. Yeah, that would be
Because
fun.
there's been a lot of people who have made some very intriguing things that I would like to try. So yeah.
What's the strangest thing you think you've seen?
A bag of ham. Um, yeah, just a bag of ham. There's I
Oh,
think that someone just put toothpaste on a plate.
good. That's
Some
funny.
people like some people like to get creative, and yeah.
That's good. The toothpaste thing is funny. The bag of ham is relatable because I think I've eaten bags of
Yeah.
ham before. That's normal. That's not weird.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I think
Uh,
someone pretended to eat a wax candle at one
pretended.
point. Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully, we do not condone the eating of wax candles. I think that's fair to say. I try to towards the end think of fun little things I could do on the outro, but I try not to
Hmm.
force them. And I
Yeah.
can't for the life of me think of anything too crazy. Um, you do by chance own a Dance Dance Revolution pad, do you?
I don't.
Dang
I
it.
mean, I used to like way back in the day. I used to own one of those like really cheap ones. That didn't work very good, but
Those are the best kind.
that was years ago.
Well, there goes my idea. All right. But yeah, I do want to thank you very much for taking the time to sit down and speak with me
Yeah.
today. Especially on behalf of Equestria Daily, we really appreciate the content that you guys have been doing and continue to do for the pony fandom. It's really awesome to see and coming into things and being able to explore content again after all these years, especially the last couple years of being a little bit less active. It's been really awesome
Mhm.
to see that that's still so prominent, or that you guys and your
Yeah.
content rather is still so prominent. Um, so yeah, really, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you taking the time.
Oh yeah, it's been a blast.
Okay.
Happy to do it.
Heck yeah. And we're going to have all of the links and the bips and the bobs down in the description. If anybody would like to take a look at what you have going on, they'll be able to find that there. I won't forget them this time. With races, we might have forgotten them
Oh,
for about an hour. Um,
yeah.
they may or may not have had to go into the comments and list those themselves, but uh, that may or may not have happened. So, yeah. However, after being completely shocked and scared to death that had occurred, we're definitely making sure those are there. So they'll be there
Yeah.
for you guys right there down in the description. You should go check those out. Um, but also join us again next week. We're gonna have another guest. Can't say who it is, but if you tune in next Wednesday, we're gonna have a release for y'all. I want to thank you for taking the time to sit down and listen to us tonight. And once again, I want to thank you, Toodles, for giving us the time. And I hope it's been a pleasurable experience for you.
Yeah, it's been a blast.
Heck yeah. Well, have a great rest of your week, guys. We'll catch you next Saturday. Thanks for tuning in.